What a difference a few minutes makes here at Rissington. The weather has completely transformed. Gordon Mutch and Ethan Pitt will be on a very wet starting grid. Jake Douglas and Angus Fender with Tom Douglas and Ethan Rees rounding out the top 6. It was a little bit slippery before, now it's torrential. So as they get into the first corner, it's going to be very slippy indeed. As into the first corner, it's going to be Gordon Mutch, the Scot, who takes the lead from Jake Douglas, who we're on board with. Don't forget, this is only his second full season of motorsport. He is doing an absolutely cracking job considering where he is. Look at how slow we're having to tiptoe through the top part of the circuit, wrestling with the steering Gordon Mutch out in front as everybody slips and slides through. Incredibly though, everybody's still on track, Alan.
Yeah, they come out of top bend through the S's down to the dog leg. This is tight. This is the tightest hairpin, as we've said, in world motorsport, and somebody spun out there.
Yep, that was Jack Smith, who manages to file back into position just in front of Jamie Lee Hawley, who we saw her details pop up on the graphic there.
Ethan Rees on the 14s had a few dramas at the start, as we see the 23 up the inside. It's Ethan Pitt for a place.
That was brave. On the first lap in those conditions, that was brave from Ethan Pitt. He just decided, you know what, I'm going to go gung-ho. Great onboard camera here from Harrison Smith. We can actually see just behind his shoulder, and you can see just how much work he's having to put in with the shoulder.
Tyre! That's off the 42 kart, Jake. That's Shane White. There he is. Shane White in the barriers.
My word.
The wheels have definitely come off that race.
Wow, that was an absolute shocker. Yeah, absolute shocker of a moment there for Shane White. He's lucky he didn't have a bigger accident than that. But Ethan Pitt now working his way through up into P5, trying to make his way past the 28 of Tom Douglas. Hasn't quite managed to get through. There's Angus Fender. Started P4, currently in P2.
Second place for Angus. He had a good run last year in the championship. I thought he was unlucky to get penalised for the incident at Llandau, but let's move on from there. The 44 kart going through the picture. That's Alicia Goundry, Team GGR.
On board again with Harrison Smith, the privateer, and he's having to work very hard indeed. Oh, bit of a slip. Is he going to manage to save it? Tom Douglas saves the kart from drifting wide, but then he has to tuck back to the outside line. If he holds that line, then he will still be able to maintain the place through the next corner, which he does. So that is good news to see. He manages to save the position there, but he's got a lot of pressure coming from Ethan Pitt.
He's got a front nose cone problem there, Jake. I think he's going to get a 10-second penalty. Just looking at his front nose cone there, it looks like it's dragging on the floor, and that suggests to me there may have been some contact at some point.
Oh, that was a very big lunge up the inside from Gordon Mutch, because Angus Fender was coming round the outside of him. Mutch was trying to take the lead back, but Fender is through and into the lead. Mutch now second. Third is Jake Douglas, and that's Alicia Goundry starting to close in on the 37 of Harry McQuillan. And I have to say, Alicia Goundry looking very strong in these conditions. She's doing well. Doing
very well indeed, Alicia. The onboard footage we're seeing, it's difficult to follow, of course, with all the rain, but it does show you, I mean, there are no windscreen wipers on the helmet, so that's pretty much the view that he will be getting on the kart. And it's an interesting angle, this. We've never seen this angle before, but to see the whole body and the movement of the steering wheel in these conditions, very interesting angle on proceedings indeed.
Yeah, it gives you a real appreciation that these guys are sitting in these karts for 15, 20 minutes at a time in these appalling conditions, getting nothing but bucket loads of water thrown in your face. It's the equivalent of about 7 buckets of water over the course of a 20-minute race. They get thrown into your face over the course of just 2 or 3 laps in these conditions. So imagine what that must be like for 20 minutes.
We're on board here with Jake Douglas. Got 2 onboard cameras in this one. That's Jake's onboard camera as Ethan Pitt slides down the inside and takes the position from Jake Douglas. Yeah, Douglas trying to fight back but can't get it done.
No, he held that well and held his line to the outside, which set him up beautifully for the inside line for the right-hander at top bend. So very nicely done there from Pitt. He felt that the kart was drifting, but he didn't panic. He just let the kart roll out to the outside and tuck back in for the inside of the next, and that kept him back. Now Alicia Goundry's made the move. She's got past Harry McQuillan, so that's going to put her right in the firing line for a potential podium.
She is doing very well in this race. She obviously likes these conditions.
Well, it's a great leveler, isn't it, the wet? If for whatever reason you're not able to get that together in the dry, when it rains, you can really throw a bit of a spanner into the works and show the established guard exactly how much talent you have. And the verdict so far, Alicia Goundry, quite a lot of talent there.
Yeah, Alicia, one of 3 sisters you see racing this weekend at Super 1. And obviously, clearly, there she is. Very talented indeed. One of the ladies moving forward. No doubt, Jake, you'll know more than me. she'll be part of that Dare to be Different scheme, I suspect.
They're already TV stars as well. They featured in a couple of documentaries recently on ITV, I think it was. But yes, Alicia as well as Tilly and Sienna, very talented young drivers, those three. And who knows, we could put one or two fast females from the Gowndry family into top-level motorsport one day. Certainly on the evidence, they're getting faster and faster all the time. They were really scratching at the surface last year. This year, they've got a real opportunity to show their form. Now, what are we watching a replay of here? That is the front fairing, is it, of the 28 of Douglas.
There it is, there it is. You can see it scraping on the floor. That's definitely dropped, and that is an automatic 10-second penalty.
Such a shame. He's driving so beautifully as well. He's having a really cracking good race, and I don't think that's his fault either. It's just one of those things. But Alicia Gowndry, sat behind him, is technically now in front.
Yeah, and I think she's going to overtake him anyway, to be fair, but he's definitely going to, that's definitely dragging on the floor. That's dropped, so that is a 10-second penalty. It's automatic. Whatever happens, even if it's not been seen for whatever reason, if he's clipped a curb and it's dropped, it will still be an automatic 10-second penalty. And Alicia up the inside, great drive.
That is an absolutely cracking move, considering that's into the first right-hander at bottom bend. That is a brave overtaking position to go for. And Alicia Gowndry, full of confidence here. She knew she could get that move done. You don't try and overtake there unless you know you can get the job done. It's one of those corners that can really bite, and it almost did, if you noticed. She drifted to the outside curb and held onto it for dear life, but that was an incredibly brave overtake. If she's that gutsy at this level in X30, wow, I'd love to see her in a single-seater one day.
She's done Tom Douglas. It's another Douglas on her list next time. That'll be Jake Douglas in front. He's on the 15. And it looks like she might be ticking him off her list sometime very soon.
Bing bong, anybody home? I'm coming to grab your position, Jake. It's going to be an interesting one when he gets through the corner and realises Alicia Gowndry is on the inside. She's absolutely romping around this circuit. She's got such a more smooth line. It's a lot more confidence, a lot more consistency, corner by corner. Alicia's doing an absolutely cracking job here, exactly where she needs to be. Out of touch with the lead at the moment, of course, as we ride back on board with Harrison Smith. But in performances like that are going to be a sponsor's dream. We've talked a lot in the press in motor racing recently about a woman's place in motor racing. Bernie Ecclestone came up with some rather unsavoury comments which were taken out of context, and Susie Wolff had to spring to his defence and go, no, that's not what he meant, folks. But we are talking a lot about future racing drivers in Formula One from the female persuasion. One with the surname Gowndry would not be wide of the mark in the future.
There will definitely be a female racing driver in Formula One at some point in the future. That's absolutely guaranteed. Just from a sponsor's point of view, Jake, you know there's plenty of female products out there who would want to sponsor a lady in Formula One. You know it's coming. It's just who's going to be the most talented, who can get it done. Alicia Gowndry, one of the Gowndry girls maybe. For me, Abby Pulling, if she gets the support, definitely. Because don't forget, Abby, we'll see her coming up in future Super One programs in the junior TKM class. It amazes me, she's still only 12 and she's racing against, lads who are sort of 15, 16 and holding her own. It's amazing.
I was going to make the point about Abby Pulling before you beat me to it, but I have to say, you're absolutely right. Looking at the form we've got this year with the likes of Pulling and Alicia Gowndry having this fantastic fight here as they lap a back marker, you have to say, if we are going to put a woman into Formula One in the future, we could name 3 or 4 of them that are currently racing in British karting. Look, she got completely wide there. That should have been into the drink and into the grass, and somehow Alicia managed to save it. Oh, that time though, she was very lucky not to. I think you just need to calm down a little bit there, Alicia. That was a big moment, and it was almost followed by a second, and that's common in the wet. When you make a big mistake like that, you immediately try to gain back all the time you lose in an instant, and it breeds a second mistake. But look, she's got it back together. She's realised, hang on a minute, I'm going to lose this if I keep doing it. I've got to calm down. I've got to hold on to this one. And now we've got Tom Douglas with Harry McQuillan reeling him in big time.
McQuillan right behind Douglas, may look down the inside, doesn't get it done there into the dog leg. This is through the dog leg. First part's the left-hander, second part is the right-hander, brings you out onto bottom bend. That's the 59 going through the picture. That's Oliver Greetham. And then we've got another couple of karts there. I think we've got some possible damage to the front ends. That may be more penalties, looming there. That's Harry McQuillan, started P7 on the 37, the pro-trained driver. On board here with Jake Douglas, who's come through turn 1, down to the right-hander at Spitfire. And and that brings you out through Spitfire, that right-hander there, into the left-hander at the loop. That brings you out onto top bend. Harry McQuillan looking to get that position. He's going to get it sometime soon. It's only a question of when, surely.
There's the confirmation. There's the confirmation. He's going to be awarded a 10-second penalty, the 28 Tom Douglas. We were talking about it already, but there is the official confirmation. Whatever happens in this race, no matter where he finishes, he could cross the line in first, and still he'll get a 10-second penalty. That is such a shame.
Going through the dogleg, that's Jack Smith on the 83. The 12 is Harrison Smith, our onboard cameraman. He's given us some great pictures this weekend.
Sorry.
And that's Harry McQuillan up the inside.
He's got through, he's already taken him, and we didn't see that. We were so busy in the dogleg, we didn't see when McQuillan got through. Whoops, and up and over. That's a bit of a moment for Oliver Greetham, and that will be a wake-up call. It's so easy to get it wrong in these conditions because we've got some sunshine now over the circuit and it's developing a drying line. It's not really a dry line, is it? But it's slowly getting a little bit more manageable for the drivers. Super One Series, very sociable community on Twitter and on Facebook. Just search for Super One Series on Facebook and you'll get all the latest updates and news, where they're racing, how to get into the sport as well. Because there are probably a few teenagers who are watching this thinking, they're not that fast out there, I could give that a go, I could beat them. We may be having somebody watching TV as a future national champion in Super One. Contact them, get in the grid.
It's happened before, it will happen again, no doubt. This programme is very popular, not only here on Motors TV, but throughout the world, on our YouTube feed as well. Lots of viewers in America.
Is that Alicia Gowdry making the move on Jake Douglas? Contact! I think Alicia Gowdry just went up the inside. Jake Douglas wasn't expecting her to be there, and contact. Jake Douglas is in the wall. Alicia Gowdry up the inside gets away scot-free. How on earth do you judge that one?
Has she got away scot-free?
Well, let's look at the front fairing.
Front fairing looks
tricky. I don't know whether she'll get a penalty for that or not. It's debatable, and that's going to be really painful if she's done all that hard work and she'll get a penalty for something technical. But up the inside, it's been a very dominant performance out in front for Angus Fender. He's going to take the victory in the 67 in front of the 61 of Gordon Much. But across the line, as you can see from the graphic, penalties galore for Gowdry, Douglas and Smith. That changes the order, but not on the top three. Fender, Much and Pitt.
You guys had the worst of the conditions. You battled past Gordon. Just tell us how you're feeling and how tough that race was and the fight with Gordy.
Well, beforehand it was a very tough weekend. Wasn't quite fast enough in the dry, so I was really glad when it started raining, so I'm very confident in the wet. I managed to catch up to Gordon, just about sneak down the inside, and then once I'd just about broken the toe, it was just all about keeping consistent. Well done to Gordon, of course, well done to Ethan. Also done to Jake Douglas, who is tied for me in third in the championship and was really fast all weekend. Got a bit unlucky in the final. Also, a massive thanks to Scott Allen out there, my fantastic mechanic this weekend. Roll on the next round. Cheers.
Race win for Fender, championship lead for Much, but it's a dead heat with him and Ethan Pitt, 189 points apiece. Fender and Douglas are tied on 184. Alicia Gowdry still in 5th position despite that penalty. More to come from her and the rest of the field in X30. And coming up, it's the seniors next after the juniors have entertained us so royally.